could eat a page for hours. Please. Kiss me.
Greetings and salutations. This is Cage's Kiss, the ultimate Cage cast where we discuss each of the National Treasure's cinematic masterpieces and his life. We also try and glean whatever kernels of wisdom we can from his character that week. I, this week, am Donnie.
I'm Adrian, but you can call me Detective Mac Taylor or Jimmy Shaker.
I'm Linda.
Wow,
You
that's
can call
a
me the
friendly
cheese.
how do you do?
Linda, are you my lucky number?
Your lucky number.
Well, this week we're watching Snake Eyes. Because fuck it, why not? Nic Cage doing his best Bill Paxton impersonation from Predator 2. My, how he's grown up.
It's because
But
I'm
I
a kid, baby! Go Tyler!
Jesus
I noticed
Christ.
this movie has no snacks.
There's no
Yeah.
snacks? Not even one?
Not even one.
Well, maybe that's because the house wins. Maybe that's because it's Jimmy Shaker Day. You ever think about that?
Hey, they did say the name of the movie in the movie.
Yeah, they say it 2 times.
Yeah.
Twice.
Like, you got Snake Eyes, the house wins. Lieutenant Dan, what do you mean?
So I'm doing Gary Sinise voice because Gary Sinise stars in this week's movie as Lieutenant Kevin Dunn.
Yeah.
And which caused some confusion on set because actor Kevin Dunn is also in this movie.
Yeah, what the fuck,
They're
man?
spelled a little differently. It is, it's one of those happy accidents. What the result was is that actor Kevin Dunn wound up with Gary Sinise's suite briefly during shooting.
And then they had to drag him out, kicking and screaming.
I want this carrier. I want this crystal. It's mine. I tell you.
Do you know who I am?
No, he's down at the Motel 6. Shut the fuck up, Kevin Dunn.
Yeah, so this is the 1998 classic,
Classic.
directed and co-written
Fucking
by Brian De Palma.
Now we've been. No, this is really fucking momentous though because we've been talking a lot about Brian De Palma off and on,
Yeah.
and our Brian De Palma experiences, and how Brian De Palma is condemnable at other times, but the rest of the time we're sort of Brian De Palma apologists, De Palmagists,
true.
if you will.
Hey!
I mean, to his credit, motherfucker did Carrie, he did The Fury, did Scarface, Dress to Kill, the first Mission Impossible, The Untouchables. I mean, the
Donnie.
motherfucker did a lot of work.
Yes.
I'm waiting for you to chime in with your favorite.
Oh, please, tell them.
Yeah, Phantom of the Paradise.
Please. Yeah, damn right.
And Sisters, and Obsession,
Your mom.
Your mom.
Paul
fuck
motherfucking
you, though, for
Williams.
serious, though. The motherfucker did Blowout, which was actually the movie that Snake Eyes was most negatively compared with. They're like, it's no Blowout, because Blowout was fucking badass.
Yeah, and it's also no fucking Rashomon, which is already got all this goddamn storytelling from. But everyone's done the same too.
And De Palma mentioned the Rashomon connection, but you know what I'm noticing now? There's a movie that most people will not remember because it was a giant turd. I think it was around 2005. If you went to the theater and you watched The 20, they tell you about this exciting new movie coming up with Dennis Quaid and Sigourney Weaver, Vantage Point with Forrest Whitaker.
Oh.
Remember Vantage Point? It's got all these different points of view, i.e. they show you the same incident again and again and again from another C-list star's point of view.
Speaking of another C-list star's point of view, didn't Robert Redford also make a movie similar to this?
Oh, God, probably. That fucker.
Yeah.
Fucking
He's always
Redford.
licking his own ass, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Speaking of actor-directors and licking
Come
their
for
own
us,
ass,
Robert Redford.
I mentioned Gary Sinise earlier. Little known fact is that Gary Sinise was actually a director before he was an actor.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because you know how he did that Of Mice and Men with John Malkovich, which he directed and starred in? So that was his first movie, basically,
I forgot
as
that
an
he
actor.
directed that.
Because before that, he directed a movie with Dickie Gear called Miles from Home.
Ew.
which is
Did
not
not know.
good. I think that's one that like came on television and YouTube a couple of times, and like my brain turned off almost immediately, and I'm like, must watch something else. Sorry, Gary Sinise.
This show ain't no good.
Like we all
Do either-
recall he was Lieutenant Dan.
Do either of you want to summarize the movie?
Don't see it. Don't watch it.
Aw.
Don't notice it.
It's about shit.
I'm gonna say about Snake Eyes is when this first came out on video, I was like, this is not that great. This is no Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
But no, revisiting it now, and especially after a lot of the movies that we've watched over our 30 episodes on this podcast,
Oh yeah.
this movie has improved immeasurably. Like,
Really?
After shit like Zandali and Never on Tuesday and City of
Okay.
Angels, fuck
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, you can't really
Snake
argue
Eyes
with
is
that.
fine. You know, like, look, now,
And Cotton Club.
and the Cotton Club, at the time I originally watched this, like, I saw this with my parents, you know, back in the days of video stores and VHS, and, like, our main complaint at that time was that you get the reveal a little too early.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know, and maybe you do. De Palma's defense of that is that this isn't a whodunit. This isn't, you know, this isn't so much a mystery as it is about the relationship between Gary Sinise's character and Nicolas Cage's character. You know,
Yeah, I can see
and
that.
you can kind of argue that. And on watching it again, as much as I hate David Co-op, it's like, you know, it's there. You know, there's some writing present.
David Co-op being the
You know,
other writer.
De Palma's it's a story credit. Co-op did the actual screenplay. Co-op, by the way, is a very bad man. So you may remember him from doing stuff like writing Jurassic Park, and you know then did stuff like Secret Window and pretty sure he wrote Crystal Skulls too.
My God.
Oh.
Yeah, so his place in hell is reserved. Okay, so breaking down the movie though. So Snake Eyes is set in it's set on the New Jersey Atlantic City Boardwalk, right? And it's in this arena that's scheduled to be torn down. There's a hurricane coming, only they're supposed to call it a tropical storm. And Nicolas Cage is this corrupt local detective who likes to gamble on sporting events and beat up Louis Guzman. And,
Practicing for Bad Lieutenant, too.
Right. God damn it. And Gary Sinise is his buddy in the Navy who's doing security for the Secretary of Defense. And they've just approved this new weapons system for naval ships. And over the course of the boxing match, there's a knockout, and then a couple of bullets go into the Secretary of Defense, just as a lady in a blonde wig is walking up to him to try to hand him a manila envelope. And then Cage has the arena locked down and has a pissing contest with some state police and gets control of the investigation.
And what an odd guest to have at a boxing event.
Yeah, you
like
know how it is, you know, like you're watching, some WWE, you know, and then, you know, all of a sudden, you know, the freaking, you know, the president just shows up. It's like, oh yeah, I want to take in some of this high quality entertainment.
Yeah, like here's the Secretary of Defense. Let's get a round of applause. Fuck yeah!
Secretary of Defense, all right, yeah, boxing, no suspending.
Well, and
Jesus.
shortly before he takes his seat, Cage meets the ring girl for round 7.
And she's
And,
a Jersey girl, you know, yeah.
And I thought she looked familiar. Turns out she is his baby mama, mother of Weston Cage.
Jesus Christ,
It's
that's
Christina
her.
Fulton.
God
Yep.
damn.
That's her.
Okay, I didn't know that was anybody. Good on you.
It's your lucky number.
You're lucky. Oh my.
You know,
Yeah. Okay, you're right. That particular part did not improve on subsequent viewings.
No.
So
I remember watching this with my cousin in the theater too when it came out, and he was all about this movie. But I mean,
and
watching
then
it now,
he went into the lobby and got laid.
he would
I'm assuming
hope
this
Hopefully
is
in
so.
his
that
story.
Yeah, it's that cousin. I look like Nic Cage. Fuck me. Who wants
So
to fuck this?
did he go in get the Don Ho outfit with the leather jacket and the Hawaiian shirt?
You know, I gotta ask, I know maybe we'll get into this. Did he put that together himself? Because that feels like something he would have done.
I was actually curious about what modicum of control Cage was able to have with this, since De Palma's such an exacting director, you know. Because De Palma, if you've never seen one of his movies, every one of his movies has this sort of Rube Goldberg thing in it, you know, where like the camera moves just so, everything's timed just so. Because De Palma does nothing, he leaves nothing to chance. Everything's pre-planned.
Well, I mean, that's something I'll give this movie. I had the opposite effect of you. I didn't think it aged that well, but the thing that I still loved about this was the cinematography. That was really well done, especially when you get toward the end of the film. It's like the whole scene going sidelong along the tunnel there. That was really cool. But,
that was good.
And there's a 13-minute tracking shot at the beginning, and it's a fake, like in Hitchcock's Rope. It's a fake
Rope
because
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Because they're dealing with film, and the same problem with Rope happened on this, is that when you're shooting on actual celluloid, a reel is only 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
You know, give or take.
And I have a love-hate relationship with Brian De Palma, but part of my reason for the hate double? Is like that's one of them. Oh yeah. But also because like he has a tendency of ripping off Hitchcock like a lot, and then calling it an homage.
You know, it's fine. Look, he's better than M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh, by far.
That's true. But like even in this, he's got like he's got like the Bernard Herrmann sounding composer. Although, you know, props, like way props for that guy. It's Ryuichi Sakamoto.
Yeah, it's the guy who did the score to The Sheltering Sky. Yeah, he worked with Bertolucci. And
see, I thought that like that his music was fucking amazing.
Oh yeah, no, it's a really good score.
But then you get to that closing fucking credits song.
Okay, what's the
with Meredith Brooks?
Okay, that's okay. Yeah, after they part on the boardwalk, they really should have faded to black.
Yeah, because those. No, I don't know. I agree, but we also would have missed out on those extras bullshitting. It's like you just get off lunch, and then you have a guy point to his watch, and then another guy point to his watch, and they both go, "Well, I guess it's that time." And then another guy standing around not knowing what the fuck to do.
It is a lot of De Palma-ing right there, where they run it over those guys. They're erecting the new front for the casino, because there's this whole back plot. There's the Powell character who owns the weapons company and owns the casino that's taking over the arena. Yeah. And so you get him putting up this column, and then you get it zooming in on the shitty costume store gem mounted in the column, and there's a fucking lens flare on it. It's like, God damn you. And that's the announcement. De Palma's like, the 2000s are coming. You might have thought I was sporadically decent before this, but forever after, I will never be again.
Well, and I didn't get that, like the costume jewelry ring, because like I know that the redhead was wearing it earlier, but like what's the point of it showing up in the column?
I think it's just a tacky casino.
Oh.
I think it's tacky. Well, look. There's the part where Cage is going through the halls of the hotel, and so is Gary Sinise, and they're trying to track down Julia. Carla Gugino. Who was the lady in the blonde wig who was there when the Secretary of Defense got shot, and like the casino. Now I believe it to be realistic, but it's gaudy as fuck. Like everything has gold painted like purple on it and like fake gems,
right?
You know, and there's the Drew Carey looking guy who takes her back to his bedroom.
Yeah,
and they got the
I just thought the thing in the pillar was that's where they put the body.
Yeah. Oh yeah, put it right there.
Yeah, because that's how it came off when I first saw it. But
holy fuck!
Maybe it's like saying that.
That's
like,
right. He had to dispose of the body somewhere, and it's a fucking construction site.
Well, yeah, and you saw the guy
Jesus
lowering
Christ.
one of the bodies into the.
Oh god, I feel stupid. No, you're right. That's like the whole thing at the end of Sisters, where Charles Durning is still investigating, even though everything's over. Remember that? And he tracks the couch with the dead body hidden in it.
Wasn't she wearing that jumpsuit later? Like she took off the wig and the jewelry, and she was wearing like a jumpsuit.
Oh, maybe she had that underneath. You know, maybe she's
when
like
she
James
was
Bond.
shot?
You know, like delayering and then layering it up.
I don't know.
Unless he threw the costume
she had the
in there
white
too.
outfit, and then she put on a jacket she stole from one of the tables.
Well, that was
Oh no, that's the
Gugino
Carla.
that did that. We're
They
talking
had the
about
jumpsuits on
yeah.
after.
the redhead, by the way, was Jane Heitmeyer, who has not got a lot of like mainstream work. She was in Sci-Fighters with Billy Drago, to her credit. And she was also on the TV show Earth: The Final Conflict, and the TV show Nightman from Malibu Comics.
Nightman.
Most of you will not remember what either of those things are.
Oh boy.
But things that you should remember is that we got Louis Guzman from The Limey and Guilty of Sin and Magnolia.
Yes.
In the security booth, we get Mike Starr, who got beaten up by Steven Seagal on Deadly Ground and said, what is the essence of a man? And he was also in Uncle Buck and Ed Wood and Bad Santa 2.
Right.
Yeah. And our villain is Gilbert Powell, played by John Hurd, who you'll probably remember as Kevin's dad in Home Alone. He also had a really great role in the early 80s as an amputee Vietnam vet in Cutter's Way. And he was also in White Chicks, but most importantly, he fucking starred in Chud.
Yes.
That was him with Daniel Stern and Chud, which is the greatest movie of all time.
Which helped inform my choices for Face Off.
Right? Everything comes back to Chud.
This movie, we should say, it was also supposed to end with a tidal wave.
They actually shot it, apparently, according to IMDb. Like, they did shoot... There was a special effects laden sequence of a tidal wave destroying the casino.
Huh.
Well, and apparently in the documentary, De Palma said, quote, "My concept was when you're dealing with such corruption, you need God to come down and blow it all away. It's the only way. It's the only thing that works. That was the whole idea of the wave, and nobody thought it worked. So we came up with something else, which I never particularly thought worked as well as the original idea." I have to agree. I think
that I guess that explains it,
I don't know. I mean, the tidal wave, you risk comparison to the horrible shit-fest ending that was the edited version of James Cameron's The Abyss, doing the same thing of aliens are going to kill us all with a wave unless we stop the violence. But I mean, I still kind of like the ending where it's like, even after he does a good thing, it's like, no, you're still a fucked up dude. You're still going away.
The ending was there either way, actually. You remember the part where he refers to almost drowning?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right.
Yeah. So they must have done a screening or something like that. Studio's like, no, thank you, and then they took it out.
No, well, that's exactly what happened. Like it didn't go so well with the screening, but the company that did the tidal wave are actually, I think it's AGI. They're the same ones who did the one for The Abyss.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
There you go.
Yeah.
Small world.
Yeah, I couldn't find a clip of that anywhere. I don't know if that footage is preserved.
No, I was able to find some pictures, which I can include in our social media, but
it belongs
on
our
social media. Reference our social media.
Cage's Kiss.
Speaking of disasters,
I wanted your opinion.
Adrian?
You're a woman with a Y.
Yes, actually both of you. Yes. So let's fast forward to the end, because fuck the rest of the movie. And he's going to be going off to prison, and she decides, hey, I'm going to ask him the same cute things he asked me. It's like, do you have a wife? It's like, oh, she ran off on me. Oh, do you have a girlfriend? She ran off on me too. If you're saying this to the person who saved your life, and you find out, oh shit, they actually had a wife and a girlfriend, are you really going to want to wait a year to bang them? Or are you just going to say, you know what, let's do coffee and cake?
He's shitty, but I can change him.
Yeah. If only he could be tamed.
Well,
I'm glad you asked.
The right person off right away.
Yes,
I'm glad you asked about that, because I actually had that in my notes. Why the fuck did they get romantically involved at the end? Why does she kiss him? They barely fucking know each other.
This is from Paramount Pictures, which is a major Hollywood studio, and focus groups demand.
Yeah.
It's very rare to get a movie where a romance is not imposed in some way.
Well, that's why I still, even when I saw this, my cousin hated it because I kept laughing at Nic Cage. It's like, he is a morally corrupt son of a bitch who does cocaine, but his character also is the same way. and he takes bribes constantly, but then he decides out of the blue,
you
it's
got
like,
that
this
$100 bill with the blood on it that keeps moving around, from place
Yes,
to place.
the blood
It's
money.
Kevin Dunn, it's like a bad penny, like the other guy won't take it. And then later
Yes.
he sees it on the floor, the floor of the editing room,
Yeah. And it's like, okay, this far, no further. You're my friendo, and you just betrayed me. And oh my God, I have to turn over a new leaf. It's like, you're still a piece of shit, dude. It's like, you can't escape.
Yeah,
it.
no,
and
like Gary Sinise told him, it all caught up with him.
Yeah, it did. But that also brings in another point. If you are someone that he saves, and you ask him, how's it going, buddy? And he tells you he keeps thinking about that night and how it could have ended differently if he didn't know about you or if he did things different. It's like, do you really think that's a conversation you should be having with the person you just saved, that you're telling them basically, I wanted you to die and maybe that would have been better?
It really would have been better off for you if you'd let Gary Sinise kill me. Well, have a day.
Yeah. I mean, that would have been hilarious if she actually said that.
A word on Carla
12
Gugino,
to
who we
18
keep bringing
months.
up there, who's the one that Cage saves. So she was in San Andreas with Dwayne Johnson most recently, which is a movie our audiences might have seen. I don't know what y'all watch, but
well, she was also in the Haunting of Hill House, which was awesome.
She was in Son-in-Law. Goddamn you, Son-in-Law with Pauly Shore.
Yes.
Oh, and speaking of bad
Little
shit, she was
America.
also in the Spy Kids movies, and she was starred alongside Jet Li in The One, which is one of the biggest piles of shit I ever saw in the theater.
Not really the one. It wasn't number 2.
She was also in Watchmen as Silk Spectre.
I was trying to be nice to her, and then you brought that up. You're so cruel.
That's what I do. That's what I'm here for.
So,
but hey, I did say she was in The Haunting of Hill House, and that was rad.
I don't even know what you're talking about right now.
You wouldn't.
Yeah, no, you're damn right.
You're not hip and fresh like I am.
So this movie surrounds that boxing match, and in the first 13 minutes, you don't actually see the boxing match. You only see it in the flashbacks later. But the boxer, the one who takes the fall, so that the assassin can get a clear shot. The character is Lincoln Tyler. It's played by Stan Shaw. Stan Shaw is actually the cousin of Sam Cooke. Sam fucking Cooke. He made his first film appearance in Truck Turner. Fucking Truck Turner with Isaac Hayes.
Woof.
He was in that Sylvester Stallone stinker Daylight. He was in Harlem Nights. And he starred in The Boys in Company C with fucking Early Ermey.
Huh.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, that's fucking Stan Shaw for you. You've seen him, you just don't know you saw him.
Stan Shaw, everybody.
Stan Shaw. I think he was also in the Monster.
Now, I am hurt you don't remember this face.
I'm a fellow sea devil. I don't remember high school. I don't remember 10 minutes ago. I get punched in the
head.
Neptune High School. I should also say that Will Smith and Al Pacino both turned down the role of Commander Kevin Gunn.
Yeah, they were gonna get Will Smith for Gary Sinise there. Yeah.
It's kind of funny because Al Pacino was my original choice in Face Off to play Kevin Dunn. So
I don't know. You get that
No, I
late
saw that.
90s Al Pacino. Do you remember that fucking thing he did with Colin Farrell?
Cruisin'?
What the
Cruisin'?
fuck was the name
Cruisin'?
of that goddamn thing? I saw it in the
Cruising. Jesus Christ.
No,
you mean the 15 minutes?
I like Cruisin'. Fuck it. No.
Wait, was it 15 minutes with
Oh.
De Niro?
I think it,
Yeah, no, that was yeah. Speaking of De Niro, De Palma essentially started De Niro's career in the late '60s with stuff like Hi Mom and Greetings.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot of parallels between De Palma and Martin Scorsese. They're both Italian American filmmakers beginning in the late '60s. They both had really strong face in the '70s. And they both sucked shit by 2000.
This is true.
True. But and we will be going over him, won't we? Soon.
With a car?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. No, actually, yeah. Because when we get to
with Bringing Out the
1999,
Dead.
we get literally the last good Martin Scorsese movie. We get Bringing Out the Dead.
Yeah.
Like that was for your people listening at home. It is a freaking scientific fact that this century, Martin Scorsese has done a total of 0 good movies.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Just
Yeah.
putting Leonardo DiCaprio on your film don't make it a good film.
Goodfellas, Casino, Gangs of New York.
Hey!
Merry Christmas, Tom Hanks! I'm Leonardo DiCaprio, I'm an actor! I'm just like Robert De Niro! DiCaprio!
You know, I really do believe that is an actual recording of him.
Come at us, DiCaprio.
DiCaprio, come at them. Like, I'm cool with you.
Yes, seriously, come at us.
We can hang.
Use your money.
We can take you.
I have love for you.
It's Thunderdome, Raggedy Man.
Yeah.
So, at one point in the movie, when the way that, spoiler alert, Cage finds that that Dunn is the bad guy and that he organized this whole thing,
and that DNA looks human,
because he finds a video that's from a new camera that's like, what is it, like a remote control blimp? Basically,
they
like
got
a little
blimp with
balloon.
a green eye on it with the camera. You know,
it's called the MacGuffin cam.
Yeah, the MacGuffin cam. Yeah,
yeah.
It's like, I thought it was just a gaudy distraction, but actually it gathers evidence. Very handy.
It's the seeing eye cam. Okay, so what I was thinking is like, okay, so they're talking about, like, the whole setup is about how this is the quote unquote swan song for the casino because they're gonna change the casino into
they're gonna combine the arena with the casino. They're separate entities basically up until this point.
So my thought was, like, because they were saying, like, you know, it's the swan song for the arena casino as they know it. Why would they get this expensive camera?
Well, because it's a high profile fight. You know, like that character. Lincoln Tyler is supposed to be like this literally undefeated boxer, you know. Yeah,
but like, I mean, I get that, but like, I guess like unless the arena is taken over by the new casino, but like it's operations is normal. Like, why would they get this expensive camera? Like, I mean, are they gonna use it just the once or what?
Well, no, but you know, they're using it that time because it's like
you can market the
fight
technology
that's going to be in that arena. You know, like it's not only for that effort. You know, but like, you know, but it's like
it's boxing. Yeah, it's boxing. I just stopped questioning a lot of things in that when I was watching an event. God, maybe 5-7 years ago, and the guy refused to come out because they put on the wrong entrance music. He had to wait an additional 5 minutes to load up his fucking song. I'm like, really?
So what would your boxing theme music be, Donnie?
Oh, Always by Eraser.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh my god.
Bang your head. Mental health will drive you mad. Bang your head.
Oh, hell yeah.
Get your straight jackets on tonight.
Mine would probably be the song that I walk down the aisle to, Linda, Linda, Linda.
Actually, thinking about it realistically, it would probably be Waiting for a Star to Fall by Boy Meets Girl. In your arms, baby, yeah.
Why not just go the extra mile and tell Leonardo we'll fight him in the ring and get Nicolas Cage to sing Motorhead's Ace of Spades for us?
Oh,
and that's what we go down the aisle to.
I think the heavens would literally open up and like we would be invited into Valhalla just for having the idea.
Yeah. Well, fuck all you, because I came up with it. I will dine in the halls of Valhalla.
What's that sound? Is it Donnie undergoing apotheosis before us?
Hey, rock and roll to you.
You know, fucking float around like rumblefish. You know, hey, you guys, light up the smoke for me.
Johnny, one cool dude.
Oh, you guys are cool too,
dude. If we had that kind of power and or money, do you think we would be here right now?
We could be heroes just for one day.
Oh man.
So Snake Eyes, huh?
Yeah.
We definitely have more than 5 listeners.
Hi,
Mom.
Snake Eyes. Yeah, if you ever wanted to see Cage get the shit beat out of him, this is the movie for you, by the way. If you're all listening to just Cage haters, you do get to see the boxer beat the face off of Cage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And then, like, it kind of garbles his last line in the casino.
Yeah, and then you know, his pal Lieutenant Dan's like, the money.
Give me the money.
Give me the money.
And at this time in his life, Cage had just bought an expensive mansion in Bel Air, and he put a 1955 Jaguar inside the house. Yeah, and also decorated it with multiple shrunken heads, which is kind of my aesthetic.
See, him and Tim Burton really should have worked together.
See, like, they really, I don't know, it should have worked.
According to that recent Cage interview, by the way, it is actually the property purchases that screwed up Cage's finances, not the dinosaur skulls.
Oh,
yeah. I
just thought you were gonna say it wasn't the dinosaurs. I'm like, I'd believe it.
Dinosaurs taking down Cage. Can't keep a good man down.
And that's why he had to sell off his comic collection.
Yes,
but
I like to eat pterodactyl eggs for breakfast, and I had to clone the dinosaurs to get them. You know,
Dino DNA. Also going on in his life at this time, Sean Penn told the New York Times that, quote, Nic Cage is no longer an actor. He's more like a performer. Ouch.
Well,
and to which Cage
that's
responded
not acting,
later.
It's typing.
Yeah.
He said, quote, that was his opinion, and, you know, we've since left it all behind us, but I think at any time an actor does something unusual, it's going to be met with a certain amount of criticism.
Was this around the time that I Am Sam came out?
It was a good movie. People should see my movie.
Make more like Simple Jack.
I'll fucking punch you if you don't see my goddamn movie.
Hey, Sean Penn, how's Madonna lately, huh? Yeah.
Actually, I Am Sam. I Am Sam came out a couple years later in 2001 with Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh, the Pfeiffer Skeletor.
Bruce Wayne, I know you're really Batman.
Jesus Christ.
Gee, Tony Montana, do you think you'll ever get shot to death after snorting a pile of cocaine?
I honestly was surprised that he did kill himself at the end of this movie, though. Lieutenant Dan.
Oh yeah. Well, they got that honestly, bit where at the beginning where Cage's character's talking about he's got the wife and the mistress, and the Lieutenant Dan's all like, "Oh yeah, my wife likes to talk to me during sex. Sometimes she calls me from the hotel." His life is shit, and this military thing is all he's got. And then at the end, he doesn't even have that.
No.
He did have a good point, though, of like that Cage should tell his wife that like he's having an affair.
Too.
Yeah,
exactly.
So she could play the game too. She could know the rules.
No, she needs to eat her deluxe pizzas and just keep her dumb mouth shut.
Yeah, because she's fat.
I'm not gonna eat it.
Also, 1 month before the release of this film, Cage was inducted into the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So, yay!
1998, such a dark, dark year.
Yeah.
No, I mean it was like objectively, like well, I was living in Southern California at the time, and we were having that El Nino winter,
True.
It was like way the fuck more rain than we'd like ever had before. It was just like coming down in fucking sheets, The tide was a lot higher. My high school was actually canceled a couple times due to flooding, and other times for housing people who had been flooded out.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were in California, but we didn't have to deal with that.
Yeah, I know. I was in Ventura one time. We were at the promenade downtown, over by the ocean, and usually there was a bit of sand, like after you walk down the steps from the shops and shit, and the waves were coming up the steps.
God damn.
And I was a little bastard. I was 15, and I'm standing at the top of the steps. I'm like, "Come at me, motherfucker! Get in the ring, motherfucker! Come on, bitch! Yeah, you can't get me!" It came right the fuck up and soaked me. It soaked me to the neck. This
Sounds like
fucking
he deserved
rancid
it.
brown ocean water. Yeah.
And that's the day you turned.
I was 15. I deserved it. Yeah.
So, did you guys have any other notes about the movie, or should we move on to...
Does anybody know what's the list of the longest tracking shots? Just because this movie has one of them. Because I know there's like Orson Welles with Touch of Evil for the opening, where you get that whole border town with the in Mexico.
Yeah.
And Wells also did a similar thing at the beginning of the trial with Anthony Perkins, and De Palma after this did that piece of shit Missing to Mars, also with Gary Sinise, and that one also has a long tracking shot at the beginning.
Well, I know
if
also
you're not counting Rope.
John Carpenter also, though he cheated it, he also did a continuous tracking shot, which they actually did use either a second shot or a second camera when they're going up the stairs in Halloween. And just as Michael turns the corner and it turns dark for just a second, that's when it switches over to another camera and continues the tracking shot up when he goes to kill his sister. And they did similar in Escape from New York as well, in the whole opening shot moving from the Jeep over the Statue of Liberty to the detention
right?
center.
Yeah. And you could tell, but it's okay. It's all good because they're shooting in New York and L.A. for that one, and that dam's in L.A.
Yeah.
But you guys saw True Detective season 1, right?
Yeah.
The part
I
at
loved
the beginning, where it's like through the house and then up onto the helicopter as well as they're driving away. That shit was cool. And a lot of these things you don't even really notice them the first time because like it is that fluid and you're into it. Although De Palma, it's more like kind of like Scorsese, like really enjoys the filmmaking process and like he does want you to notice,
Yeah, he wants you to play along with De Palma bingo and just kind of check him off as you go.
Yeah.
Like, notice me, guys.
What we did. We made the Fury for the love of fuck.
And somewhere out there, Neil Breen said, "I noticed you."
But isn't that wrong?
Gives the thumbs up.
But isn't that wrong?
That's what I was going to do. I was going to do my Breen take on City of Angels.
He should remake City of Angels.
Oh God.
Neil Breen, I hope you're taking notes.
Could you make it into a horror movie? I still think that should be us. That we should kickstart the horror movie.
Maybe. We'll have to wait and see.
Get onto our Patreon, guys.
And get on our level.
God, are we going to actually face this off? I mean, does it even need it?
I was actually kind of thinking about that. It's like, what else could you do with something of this caliber?
I mean, the only thing I thought you could do is just take the exact same cast from Sudden Death and move it into this. I mean, it's almost the same, just with a lot more ass kicking.
Yeah, Cage, how come you don't kick guys? What's up with that?
Yeah.
Make like your big brother Van Damme and kick some guys. Just do it.
Just put in hockey over boxing, and there you go.
That Red Ruby thing, I got it on now. That's her ring.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I was saying.
Right.
That was the redheaded's ring.
Yeah. Redheaded stepchild. That ain't how you beat your own kids.
So is that your face off, Donnie?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's not too many ways. I mean, unless you go really characterized and you do, like you were saying, going with Al Pacino and maybe Robert De Niro, but that just seems really corny. But I could see Pacino doing it, absolutely.
I could see Pacino doing a lot of
things.
But
I don't know. There's a lot of people at the time that could have done this. I mean, even though he mocked Cage for it, Sean Penn easily could have fucking starred in this just because he needs to eat.
Jesus, like that fucking piece of shit he was in with Nicole Kidman. What the fuck? I'm not remembering the name. Well, it was that Sidney Pollack movie that was shot inside the UN, and they made it a big deal. They shot a movie inside the UN. It's like, yeah, the ending's a total cop-out. Fuck you. The Interpreter.
Oh,
yeah.
Jesus.
God, fuck that goddamn turd of a movie. Why did I even... It's like you got Sean Penn and you got Nicole Kidman, who was still bankable, and you made this. Bus blows up once. Like, yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Pile of crap. Like, yeah, it's
we
about
made
this
a
African
movie.
Country, It's like, why is it about Nicole Kidman?
And wasn't that Al Pacino and Jack and Jill?
Yes.
Yeah, Al Pacino, popping up in fucking Adam Sandler movies, trying to date.
Yeah, he'll do
Sandler
anything for money now.
Yeah, well, kind of like Robert De Niro. You know, they hate each other, and yet their metamorphosis has been identical.
And while we're at it, shout out to the 10ish podcast, because they just had an awesome episode about Adam Sandler and like his most popular movies with Rotten Tomatoes. So that was kind of a blast.
Was Rotten Tomatoes a real big fan of Click?
God, I don't think Click even made the fucking list.
Good.
But not so great. In fact, actually, I think it was like the bottom movies, or fuck, I can't remember. But
I'm pretty sure, like, I think Jack and Jill is one of the lowest rated movies ever.
Yes,
so.
Yeah.
It's right there with Norbit.
Who's next on the face-off here?
Well, I was kind of thinking like it's like, no, fuck trying to make it better. Like you know, if you decide to commit to badness, you know, you could do one where Gary Sinise's character is Robert De Niro, and yeah, and then you get what's his name from As Good as It Gets as the Cage character.
Tom Hanks,
Jack Nicholson,
no, Greg Kinnear.
Greg Kinnear.
Oh,
that would be
Rebecca Remains Stamos. Yeah, you know, then you know it's just gonna suck, you know, just all the way. Like no potential anything, you know. Make it directed by like Lee Tamahori or Gary Fleder or something like that. Like, you know, you might as well change their name to Work B McWorkman, you
know. For me, I had playing Rick Santoro, not to be confused with Rick Santorum. I had
Ricky.
Ethan Hawke.
Wait, who? Ethan Hawke?
Ricky. Ethan Hawke, because fuck
God.
it. And as Kevin Dunn, I had Daniel Stern.
Hey, just like in Chud!
Just like in Chud!
Chud all the way!
I'm gonna chud this bitch.
I'd like to point out that this is one of the few movies we've had where characters actually have clearly defined motivations.
Yeah,
that are explained.
That's true.
Absolutely.
It's such a rarity.
That's why I can understand your point. This is a good wake up from the past shit films we have had to watch. It's
like,
not necessarily
it doesn't
good,
save it
but
necessarily, but you know,
yeah. But I don't know. Like I felt like some parts were just kind of boring as fuck, which is hard to do with Cage in your movie.
Well, I mean, then again, overall, it's also maybe a little bit rushed. I don't know, but like when you're dealing with that structure, you don't necessarily want to draw it out too long when it's like about the flashbacks at the same event.
Yeah, well, that's why I can understand.
Split screen again.
Yeah, well, that's why again I can understand his whole saying, "Oh, it's not a whodunit thing; it's about their blah blah blah."
Right.
So yeah, but you still don't tell the audience that, and then when they decide, "Oh, this is who did it," it's like, "Oh, well." Fuck. It's like, why is this still a big surprise? Why the musical cues for Cage when he gets caught up with where the audience already is?
Well, I think the early reveal does allow, though, for you to get the part where both Cage and Sinise are moving through the hotel trying to find the lady, you know, and Gary Sinise, you know, knows the Cage is going, but Cage does not know, you know, and so that's when he gets to find out in the stairwell. It's like, but he's the most righteous dude.
Well, I just started a new anti-anxiety medication,
And you didn't
so
share,
that,
damn you to hell.
it's making me tired as fuck. So that could have been why I was bored with it. But
Yeah.
I did like the character development where, like, I like that they set up Cage as, like, proto bad lieutenant, and then, like, he kind of, turns around and ends up being the good guy.
Right. And no good deed goes
But he still
unpunished.
gets his he still gets his comeuppance.
Well, yeah, no, like if he hadn't like it's like Sinise said, if he hadn't done that and gotten to the spotlight, like he never have been, he might never have been found out,
Yeah, totally.
Preserve the wife and the mistress, or rotating mistresses, perhaps,
Well, there's another movie that did similar too, or at least it's a shit movie. I can't remember if it was Final Justice or not, but it was about a guy that goes off on a killing spree, and then the movie ends with a freeze frame, and it talks about how he ended up turning himself over to authorities after killing the people responsible for killing his wife, and that he went to prison for X amount of years.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
No,
People
that's...
trying to put stupid morals in their movies.
Fuck you. I don't want my movie to be about nothing. I want to see a guy get pussy and kill people and stuff to blow up. Just shut the fuck up with your stupid morals, okay? I don't gotta do what you say, okay? He's a stud and he gets all the pussy and all the guys hate him, but they can't beat him, so there. So shut up.
I didn't come here to grow.
It's funny. It's funny we should bring this up because I was just watching a clip of Fat Albert, and those had the live action part where Bill Cosby introduced him. He says, "And if you're not careful, you might just learn something." Like,
Oh, God.
that's why we're always careful, isn't it, Bill Cosby?
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I think that is the best time for me to segue into my segment. Clothes off.
Oh,
I want his clothes off.
we didn't get to see any Cage dick in this movie.
Yeah, sadly
Thank
there was
God.
no nudity, but you did get to see Carlo Cugino in a bra, though. So I mean, kind of, sort of.
Yeah,
But-
no.
so it was kind of saddening.
She
in that
was rocking
department.
her various looks. I mean, you got to hand it to her.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of weird that she didn't get more of a, more parts and stuff, like in mainstream type stuff.
Oh, she went through like a lot of costume changes for somebody who's like basically
That's 'cause she's a
locked
diva.
into a. Yeah. But yeah, sadly, no nudity.
Yay.
Which is actually kind of rare for the De Palma, because like you get
Yeah.
stuff like Dress to Kill, with the Angie Dickinson body double, and then Body Double, which is a parody of the incidents with the Angie Dickinson body double.
Right?
Maybe it was
And you get
something
the
that we're
whole
going
end
to film
credits.
for the tidal wave, and you have Lucky Number 7's tits flopping out.
No, it would not have been out of place if De Palma had done again what he did on Body Double, where the end credits just roll over a shot of fake blood pouring down breasts.
the tidal wave like blew Lucky Number 7's like top off.
Yes. Because aliens.
Or do the Tenebrae ending. Have her topless and screaming during the whole end credits.
Yes.
Sweet Jesus.
Oh, that
Relax.
was perfect.
Don't do it.
Were you guys able to find any wisdom? Any cagey wisdom?
Don't go
you gotta
telling
know when
everybody
to
you're
hold
Ricky.
them, know when to fold them.
Adrian?
Yeah, well, if you want to keep certain things on the down low, don't tell everybody that you're Ricky. You only tell certain people.
Yeah.
I want to get on TV! Ricky!
Neptune High!
Sea devils! Oh, if you bring a mysterious, nearsighted woman up to your hotel room while you're writing a letter to your lovely wife, maybe don't go to get the BJ right away. Let her settle in a little bit.
Yeah.
These
Shame
things
on you,
have
Drew
to happen
Carey.
organically.
Yeah.
I would say that one, you have if you have shady dealings, then you should just take the money when it's offered.
The money!
And the money. 2, it doesn't always pay to have principles. And 3, if you're cheating on your spouse, you should let them know so they can get in on the game.
And, also, try to match your suit to your gold cell phone.
Now, where was that in Face Off?
I think that's wise indeed.
Guns. It all goes together
right?
so well. It should have been right in there with
fucking
the
gold dragon money clip. Maybe he took it with him off of Face Off. We don't know.
I'm hiding my famous face. I'm Rookie.
With his inhaler cover.
Yes, bad. Right. That goes right up there with Donald Trump's Sharpie cover.
Yeah, it's like if you go to his house, it's like a 50 Shades of Grey thing. It's like, I have a special room full of trophies.
Just
oh,
like
God, you're a serial killer, aren't you? Everybody, you can watch Chatterbox right now on Amazon.
Next movie we're reviewing is Chatterbox.
Chatterbait?
Chatterbox? I don't know. Go find out.
Stay tuned and find out.
He would have been about 14, so I hope not.
Jesus Christ.
I guess this is the time where I say, please listen, follow, rate, and review Cage's Kiss on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, TuneIn, YouTube, just about anywhere you can find podcasts. We're there.
In honor of us,
and remember,
Apple should change the name to Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
No, we're the star.
I don't see why they don't. We're number 1, baby. Remember, you can find Cage's Kiss on Facebook and on Twitter at Cage's Kiss. You can visit our website at cageskiss.com, and you can write to us at cageskiss@gmail.com. And our website is pretty goddamn awesome. It features a lot of Adrian's art.
Aw, shucks.
Adrian, why don't you tell us a little bit about your
art?
Gee
whiz. Well, you could find my artworks on DeviantArt under Leo the Fox, LeoTheFox, all run together, all one word. I'm putting shit up every single week, so there's always something to see. And I, too, have a Patreon, and I'm trying to get that shit going. So and that's linked from my DeviantArt. And, of course, there's always my YouTube under A.A. Smith, or you can just look it up under Gwirt and Jamie or Rainbow Gun. I have various shits on there, too. If you're into the art, there's drawing videos, and there's me bitching about books.
Interesting.
And Donnie.
And I'm still the boy who blew on RedTube. I'm also the Unreal Goals on the Twitter. And I'm selling free samples of Calgon for $50 a head, so look for me behind your local Arby's.
How did you get that ancient Chinese secret?
I can't tell you because it just takes me away.
I wish Calgon would take me away.
When I bite into your peppermint patty.
And we will be in your ear holes next week with 8mm.
Holy shit!
Oh yeah!
Yes, it's finally come.
Break out the porn.
8mm all the way. Reminds me of my favorite
so fucking
film.
excited.
Oops, did I say that out loud?
Yes, we actually have 2 good movies coming up.
Believe it or
Yeah,
not.
we'll be doing this
8mm
with leather
and then,
gimp masks on.
Oh yeah. No.
Oh hell yeah! Wait, you guys don't already?
For those who complain about our audio in past videos, that was because we were wearing leather gimp masks.
Yeah, the safety word is pineapple.
It wasn't our turn.
Until then, I shot a kid.
God damn it, you're burying that kid. That kid's buried in a pillar of cement in a new casino.
Haven't you seen it come for this kid, and then go straight for yours? Damn it, Joe. You gotta stop looking around and see what's right in front of you. What are you talking about? Me, Joe.
And scene.
Tyler!
Cage. Peach. I could eat a peach for hours. Please.